shot most of the pictures for this episode in the summer. I think you can tell pretty well by the drought and by my outfit. However, it took me really long to process all these impressions and to sort out my thoughts about the project. I also had to admit to myself that this project will take a much longer time and I have to visit these villages more often. I think this will be one of my long-term projects, and on this journey I try to take you along as good as I can. That's why I'm uploading this video only now. But before we start with the video, thank you so much that so many people have subscribed to my channel in the last weeks. I'm really happy to make contacts from all over the world and to exchange ideas with you. I started this channel here to better structure my documentary photo projects and to inspire other photographers. And so far I'm having a lot of fun doing it. Your subscriptions help me a lot to continue producing content. If you are not a subscriber yet, this channel is mainly about documentary photography and life as an artist. But back to the video itself. Originally I grew up near a barrier lake. For this barrier lake, a whole village had to be relocated in the 1950s. The original village was flooded afterwards. A few years ago the dam was renovated and many old traces from this village were uncovered. Unfortunately, I lived in Berlin at that time and I wasn't able to see it in real. However, through this barrier lake I have always been interested in how the reality of life used to look like and how places change when such a big event takes place. I'm especially interested in the in-between states. I'm fascinated by the time when places become non-places. For this reason I chose the villages around the Hambach open pit mine for this project. About 40 minutes away from Cologne, where I live right now, there are many villages that, in spite of the decision to phase out coal energy, will be teared down to make way for the open pit mine. Some of the people living in these villages are still living there in insecurity because they are resisting the relocation and do not want to move to the new villages. Some houses have been abandoned only a few months ago. The picture I get of these places is really bizarre and sad. Some of the houses are still standing. Some of them are barricaded with boards, others look completely normal. Only the overgrown front garden suggests that nobody has taken care of these houses for a long time. I can only imagine how it must feel for some families to leave their homes and to move into a village full of new buildings. What fascinates me the most is the fact that these places are between 30 and 40 minutes away from Cologne and still everything feels like being in a completely different place or almost in a video game. I'm not a very religious person, but the image of this big church completely barricaded had a strong impact on me. My goal is to make a photo story about these places without slipping into a cheesy Lost Places aesthetic. With most of the pictures I took on the first day, I'm not satisfied at all. And I think I need to take a more abstract approach and focus more on details to get the images that do justice to this feeling. In the next weeks and months I will go again to some of these villages and photograph more. I'm very curious to see how the villages have changed over the past few months. But I think that try and error is the only way that works for such a project. I don't know how everything will change in the next months and I have to react permanently to new impressions. So currently I have no idea what the final project will look like. I also have no idea what the project will be called. Maybe the photos from the next months will end up in another series, but since this is a personal project and I don't work for an editor, these questions are secondary. What I have learned after the first day of this project is that it's important to me that the change of these places is rather artistically than journalistically represented, because there are enough journalistic works and even though it's important to report on this topic, I would like to represent the change of these villages more abstractly. What do you think about it? Do you have any tips for depicting abandoned places in such a way that the pictures don't become too obvious? I'm looking forward to your comments. See you next time.